And a very good morning to you. Welcome to K24 this morning. It's 8 on the nose right here in Nairobi, the capital city. Of course, if you're joining us online, we'd love to know as well. My name is Jeff Mote. Welcome to the show. Today, of course, it's a big one. We're talking about the elusive two-thirds gender rule. If there was a record for a bill that has flopped on the floor of the House, this one is a clear front runner for this one. And the big question really is why? This should have been done a long time ago, but yet still very elusive. That makes the mainstay of a discussion right here on the show. As we do that, of course, we also look at the front page in terms of the stories that are making front page news in your dailies this morning. And don't forget, you can get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's only 10 shillings, by the way. And the number that you need is star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, the number is star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number and get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom as well. And the beauty about it is that you don't need any mobile data on your phone for this. You don't even need a mobile app on your phone. All you need is the number star 550 star 4 hash. It'll cost you 10 shillings to get that copy of your People Daily, and a world of convenience as well. So you can get it right across the country, wherever you are. And once again, the number star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number and get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. As you do that, on the front page of the People Daily, COVID-19 fund audit exposes rot in counties. This being an indictment where the controller of budget fingers governors for purchasing items at exorbitant prices and losing billions. As you can see on the front page of the PD, some of the county governors who are in focus as far as this is concerned: Wycliffe Oparanya, Mohamed Kuti, James Ongwae, Anyang' Nyong'o, Francis Kimemia, the CEOs of the respective counties, and of course accountable as to how these funds were spent. That story can be found in your copy of your People Daily therein. Also on the front page of the PD, Manduku arrested Obado family to remain in custody as the firm grip on, the fight on, graft just being tighter and tighter and tighter, and some of these casualties, of course, being felt right there. That story can be found on page 2 of your People Daily. As we marked 10 years on the promulgation of the new constitution yesterday, Raila Odinga talking about some of the sacrifices he's made in terms of that particular space. Blood and sweat for new laws was worth it. He says he'd do it again, and you can find that story and that interview on page 15 of your People Daily this morning. So once again, if you don't have your physical copy, you can get it straight to your phone, and the convenience brought to you at only 10 shillings. The number that you need is star 550 star 4 hash. Let's move it right along to the front page of the Daily Nation now. Still matters COVID graft, and now it's PS Mochache on the spot. KEMSA chiefs throw the health principal secretary under the bus, claiming she ordered the agency to exclusively procure COVID-19 related supplies from specific firms and set prices. Appearing before MPs over the alleged loss of billions of shillings, the management absolved itself from any wrongdoing. Also, the intrigues behind the reshuffle that never was. So again, the blame game continues as more questions than answers really are being found in this particular story. Medical Supplies Agency says it acted on her orders as far as this is concerned, and that story is what is making front and center in your copy of your Daily Nation this morning. Let's move right along to the front page of the Standard now. Raila's confession, he says, talks about daring escape. From changing identities to switching clothes, Odinga fled from authorities 28 years ago. He reveals a tortured journey that saved his life and mirrors Kenya's search for a new constitutional order. That story is in your copy of your Standard this morning. You can get that therein. And even as look at the Katiba at 10, why Kenya is yet to reap benefits of the Constitution 10 years on. You can find that story, of course, special edition of your Standard this morning with all the details therein. Finally, front page of your Star, matters politics there. DP Ruto saying, I'll dump Jubilee Party ahead of 2022. He says he's bolting out. The Jubilee Party has been hijacked, quote unquote, and has lost direction in Uhuru's second term. This is the deputy party leader for the Jubilee Party, and that's who he says is a problem right now. Says it's been hijacked by conmen and brokers. You can find that story in your copy of your Star this morning and look at the details therein. Lots to discuss on the show. Even with that conman and broker comment, I've gotten some reaction already. My panel ready to jump to these stories and more. As always, your input on the conversation, absolutely invaluable. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote. You can also get me at K24 TV. If you want to send a WhatsApp message, the WhatsApp number will be scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Welcome to K24 this morning. Let me get to my panel in studio. These are friends of the show. They've been a bit distant for a while, but they're finally back after their hiatus. Let me get to the studio. We have Maria Mbeneka. She's an advocate of the High Court. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Karibu sana. We also have former Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly, Beatrice Alachi. Good morning.
Morning, Jeff.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You know, even as we started, I was just reading the front page of the Star with what the DP said. Those aren't my words. He said that the party has been hijacked by conmen and brokers. And I could see already a reaction from your end. What's your reaction to that particular statement that he made?
Who are the conmen and who are...
Well, he did point out the vice chair of the party.
He's a conman.
He said it.
Okay.
What's your take on that? Because this party, people are saying there's a lot of friction from within. It's almost at the tipping point for implosion.
Absolutely. Well, for me, I'll say that the party, Jubilee Party, is a party that I also really worked around during the time we were putting it together. The challenge of Jubilee Party is that you love a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you look at each other in mistrust. And that's the challenge they face. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there are no conmen, and they are all members of Jubilee Party, but you have gone into complete, and I'll tell them, Katiba at 10, I'll tell them the truth. Mm-hmm. Their challenges, their business challenges. I mean, you decided to run a government, and you decided again to be the businessmen. So you fight yourselves because of the different businesses that you're fighting for.
Right.
And that's the challenge we face in the party. Until when you separate that, the way the president has been saying, separate what is the values of the party, the ideology of that party, which I think the president himself is on track on that.
Right.
And he has really tried to bring back just what was the ideology of Jubilee, what did we promise Kenyans. And I think COVID has helped him to now understand what we have been doing, who have been lying to him, and who are really, very few of them, very few of us, indeed, are doing the right thing for the president. Okay. The majority of us in Jubilee went in knowing very well we shall use the president to get what we want. Right. And that's why they're fighting. And so I'll tell the men, there's no conmen. There's a challenge of you in businesses. That's all.
Okay, we are supposed to be discussing the two-thirds gender rule. We'll be doing that in a bit. I want Maria's reaction on this because, I mean, coronavirus has been called the virus of truth. You know, right around the world, it's just been unearthing things that have been conveniently put under wraps. More so on a political front, because we even had, you know, Deputy SG for the party talking about how funds are being used within the political party. And essentially, this is taxpayer money as well. Do you feel political parties are accountable? Because when it gets to a point where even some records aren't given to the Auditor General from Jubilee, who holds these parties to account?
Well, speaking about political parties generally, I think many of them are not transparent in terms of the actual expenditure and how much is actually received by the party, and what mechanism exists for the party to actually address its members, because members become very important around now when people are now looking, at the next general election, and you get members. But what is your engagement with your political party? Right. Other than what we hear about is the election board or the disciplinary tribunal, right, or appeals tribunals. But most times we don't hear about the other programs. When you have the different organizational structures within the party, like the Women's League, the Youth League, what do they do? And not just at the party headquarters, but even down where you are in your village. How do you engage with your political party? And the framers of the Constitution and anyone who gave thought towards the Political Parties Act, the idea was that all organs of the party would be involved at any one time. And of course, you cannot also sit back as a party member and expect things to happen for you. You have to be robustly engaged. But in terms of transparency, I don't think generally that it's there. Okay. Yeah. So
it's a key issue right across all political
the board,
parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We are also joined by Priscilla Nyokabi. She's a commissioner at the National Gender and Equality Commission. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm also happy to follow from here.
Fantastic stuff. And of course, it's all about what we are calling the elusive two-thirds gender rule. I think this is a good place to start with this particular conversation, because from where you stand, Priscilla, we're talking about already making changes to the Constitution. The President has called this a constitutional moment that should be seized. From where you stand, is it a constitutional moment to seize, to change it, or to implement what you already have, that we haven't actually implemented fully?
Thank you. And I think from both where I sit and where I stand, we have sitting MPs, standing MPs, so from both positions, it is indeed true that the Constitution needs to be implemented, and especially the two-thirds gender rule. But it is also true that some aspects of implementation require amendment, like this particular two-thirds gender rule. So we might now need to move more to specificity. What happened with the two-thirds? It is drafted in Article 27 with the Bill of Rights, with obligations to the state. The state here being everyone, the Parliament, both National Assembly and Senate, the Presidency, the court, and even the society. I mean, the state is a very big animal, really, to deal with. And so in the amendments now, we are proposing that, for example, in Article 130, you make it clear that the national executive, and which is what the BBI is going to do, is say the national executive is the president, the deputy president, the prime minister, the two deputy prime ministers, and the rest of cabinet. And you say there that that team shall be two-thirds gender compliant, so that when the national executive is being formed, the two-thirds gender rule is part of it. And that is already there with county government. Look at 174 on county government, the two-thirds gender rule is there. If you come to Article 132, where the president appoints cabinet, appoints the attorney general, appoints the head of public service, appoints the ambassadors, appoints the PSs, and appoints other office bearers, we want the two-thirds to be part of his functions, so that now it is the president required to ensure that as he does appointments, he maintains and ensures that the two-thirds gender rule is done. And then on National Assembly and Senate, again, remember the battle has been to get a formula. The Constitution gave the 7 women rep seats. That is separate, where implementation is done. Article 177 on the county assemblies has a gender top-up clause, but 97 and 98, we don't have the top-up clause. And so now we need the formula to be part of the Article 97, National Assembly, and Senate. And in Senate, we are even proposing 1 man and 1 woman elected in every county, so that we also don't have this debate of nominations, where the nominated senators, like used to happen with our friend Senator Elachi, they don't vote. For example, now on the formula, the women senators, their votes don't count, and so in the formula you can't have things like water, because the people who are voting on the formula are largely men, and I don't know why men don't remember water. So it would require that the women are part of that constitution as well. So we are happy at the progress we have made, but we are looking forward to even more progress in the next 10 years with the implementation and with the amendments that will then need implementation.
Okay,
Thank you.
Let me bring this to studio as well, because, for a viewer who might listen to that and just hear that there might be another political seat brought in, for them they cringe, because they're like, we've already spent all of this money paying all of these people. I don't want another seat added. Yet my main problem right now, and I've been saying this the entire week, it's really bread and butter issues. When you talk to the Kenyan who's trying to make a living, even as we mark the Katiba at 10, they talk about BBI, but that's their thing. That's the political class. I just want food on my table to feed my family. If you add another seat and I'm the one paying for this seat, there's a problem right there. How do you respond to that, Madam Elachi?
Well, first of all, when we talk about the seat that Commissioner is talking about, it means the 47 seats are going. Mm-hmm. So it's like removing the 47 from the National Assembly and bringing them back to Senate, which I think is more ideal, because if I'm a woman who has vied within the whole county, mm-hmm. the best place to argue my issues is within the Senate. Because you find most of the time now, when you are with the constituency members, you find you're floating also. You're mm-hmm. fighting again, they have CDF, I don't know, you don't have this, and then right. You are all fighting, you want some money for development. But these members of the county, of the constituencies don't look at you as if you are one of them, because they know you belong to the county. And mm-hmm. therefore, the best house to be and to all of you talk about the issues you're talking about, counties, is within the Senate. That should be one. And then you'll have achieved the issue of the 1/3 in the Senate, even beyond that, because it will be like 50-50. But at the same time, you'll have removed completely this thing of nominations of individuals, which again, people feel, why am I nominating? Do they really understand the issues? Which of late, when you look at now the nominations we did in 2017, you realize many of the people do not even understand now where we are, especially for us, the women who are nominated. You find the games the men are playing, you are not part of that game. You're even wondering, why are we fighting about a formula where we have to be asking very critical questions? 10 years down the line, if I have been giving, for example, to Turkana, this amount, and for 10 years you've received 100 billion, which they have received, what is it that a Kenyan will be proud in Mombasa or in Nyeri to say that indeed the revenue that they collected from our side to Turkana has worked for our Turkana people? You see, now that's the challenge. So even if you start saying, oh, is it going to pay one person? Because it only comes to women is when we realize we are now paying people. But again, those women are the women who are then more working very hard, find many women taking care of very many families. But then when it comes on the political table, we become a discussion of how to be paid. And that is where I find it a bit, not fair, discriminative. Because if it was for the men agenda, nobody will talk about it.
Let me bounce it off to Maria as well, because even as you look at the Senate as a whole, both men and women, there's even been talk of, probably you should think of scrapping this institution as a whole, because clearly has probably 3-4 duties, and we've seen how one of its most critical duties has taken more than 11 rounds to get sorted out with the allocation of revenue. And some people are seated there thinking, okay, fine, every time they meet, they're still, and right now people are very critical with how money is being spent. And the talk was they're sitting there, they're getting paid, they're enjoying their allowances and taking us round and round and round, yet they can't deliver on, they had one job. That's how it's put on Twitter. You just have one job, deliver, and we still can't. Is it time we also rethink the institution as a whole?
I think it's important, Jeff, not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. The framers of this Katiba had a very good idea when we're thinking about the way we are ordering some of these responsibilities around. And the job of Senate is very critical, especially for excuse me, for devolution. Because if you think about their role, it's basically to create laws that will cushion the counties. And they're very forward-thinking in terms of what happens at the counties, what kind of laws do we need when it comes to impeachment proceedings. They are conducted at the Senate. When it comes to accountability by the county governments, those hearings are held in Senate. So they have a responsibility, and a very critical one, that is enshrined in the Constitution. Of course, the revenue sharing formula debate has captured the imagination of the country and brought out the inadequacies or some of the political intrigues that are associated with the delay. Because if you think about it, this is not a new discussion that we've had. It's not the first time funds have been delayed to the counties. It's not a new thing that the Senate is dealing with. This matter has been before them since 2018. Right. They've been seized of the matter. So what we are being treated to is political gerrymandering and a lot of brinkmanship, in my view, and perhaps people positioning for themselves for whatever limelight it is at the expense of Mwananchi. So Mwananchi here is not interested in these other shenanigans. Mwananchi is not interested in who is aligned to who or what. They just want to know, did the CRA do its job? It did. They sat down, Ms. Jane Kiringai, a very well-educated woman. She's done a fantastic job. She has given the way forward. It comes to Senate. They have been briefed. Actually, Parliament on this one is looking good. The National Assembly is looking good on this particular issue because they've done their part with the DORA. But now, when it comes to the KARA, the Senate is, going back and forth. Why? It's not necessary. We are actually now crippling a very important constitutional body. And when we're talking about the Katiba today, and the functions of these commissions, because the next debate is that these commissions are too many. You'll hear that. These commissions are too expensive, they're too many, but without them, we would be worse off. So let's actually listen to these commissions that we created as the people.
Right.
Right? It's not leaders who sat down and said, now we are creating this. It is Wanjiko who sat down with the leaders and said, this is what we want, because we want to have checks and balances across the board, right to when this last shilling gets to me at the county or the ward level.
Okay, and even as you look at this particular bill that we've spoken about for quite a while, I want to bring Priscilla back in, and of course, even as she comes in, you can get your feedback in. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote on Twitter, at K24TV on Twitter, or the WhatsApp number scrolling at the bottom of your screen. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the elusive 2/3 gender rule. Priscilla, when you look at this bill, if it was a record for the bill, it has had quite a number of flops on the floor of the House. I don't think many others have gotten to that particular status as far as that's concerned. Is it because of, political goodwill that's not there? And this is on both male and female legislators on the floor of the House, because it's been continually a case of lack of quorum. Every single time this comes up, the legislators are nowhere to be found. Is that really where the issue lies? Okay, there seems to be there's a small technical hitch with the sound right there. Priscilla, we can't get you.
Sorry. I'm
okay,
good.
Thank you.
I'm good now.
Okay, fine.
I was saying that it's a bit of a more complex issue than just legislators showing up on the floor of Parliament. I think the level of political will you need on this one is very high. We would need the main political parties to call PGs, the political party group meetings, and really just whip members onto this agenda. The Jubilee and the ODM and the Wiper and Ford Kenya, there would just be no other way. And KANU, really all the parties would have to call a parliamentary group meeting. And that is because there is value in having both men and women leadership. If you close the potential of one gender, then you are closing the potential of the country. And really, there are examples to go by here in Africa, in Rwanda, and even away from Africa, in India, for example. And it's a larger conversation on patriarchy, a large conversation on the role of women in our society. And you spoke earlier about the issue of cost. It is the value that we derive from the leadership that should help us see that the cost is not that much. And when we did the cost for 2/3 gender rule, it was really negligible compared to, for example, corruption and many other problems that the society has. It was coming to 58 shillings per Kenyan to have the full 2/3 gender rule implemented. But we need very, very high levels of political will. But even more than that, we need the society to change. We need our men and our society to agree that there is value, so that by the time you're coming to Parliament, we are seeing equality at home, we are seeing equality in the workplace, we are seeing equality in the church, we are seeing equality in our markets, in our coffee societies, in our tea societies. It's a larger conversation. And I personally have been encouraged because the first time, and the Lachi remembers this, we were being told that only we women would vote for it. When we got 195 members to support the bill, that was a very high acceptance. In the other effort, it was 212 members of Parliament. So we have missed it narrowly. We've come a long way. At 212, and you need 233, you barely just need another 21 members of Parliament for you to be able to pass. And I also think we need to call out regions. Some regions like Western have been particularly difficult for us on the gender rule. Some other regions are positive, but some regions like Western have particularly been difficult. And so the next level of effort will be to make sure that women everywhere in the country, and that's why we are favoring the one woman elected in Senate in every county, so that all the regions, from Northeastern to Western to Central to Nairobi, Rift Valley, Eastern, we are having women representation across the board. And once the nominations come, after that, women can vie. It's just a head start. The rest of the time, they can vie. And after that, we have much better. And I can tell you that representation is the first point, then the resources follow. If you are underrepresented, you cannot have resources. A few of the bills we have seen that are pro-gender have come in when the women reps have come. The marriage laws, for example, the family laws that we now have, had been coming to Parliament since 1968 and had not been passed. The Children's Act is 2001. We need a Children's Act that is compliant with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So there is really, really value in having women in the legislature. The cost is negligible and the cost is bearable. We are alive to the questions of value, that when women get there, we also give value, but political will. In Rwanda, President Kagame leads the battle. So calling on our president, Kenyatta, on the prime minister, Raila Odinga, on Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, to just lead the fight and to have matter resolved once and for all. And we are hoping that now with the threat that the Chief Justice could any time dissolve or cause the order that the House be dissolved, or advise the President that the House be dissolved, another bill needs to hit the floor. And now this time we need to see a better performance 10 years after. Thank you.
Okay, and even as you talk about that, of course, we want your feedback on this as well. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. There's been talk of, scrapping the August House at this particular point if they don't actually manage to attain this particular threshold. That had actually been a statement made by a member of the Committee of Experts, Bob Mkangi, if I'm not wrong, just weighing in on this particular scenario. We talk about that after the break as well. I can see Jane Kameru tweeting, saying, the problem with this is that even when women get into Parliament, Senate, Nisiasa in general, wote wanakula pamoja. They all become the same thing. Game Rock saying all elective seats should be scrapped because politics right now is not helping us. We, the youth who make the major demographic population, we need jobs. That's what we need to talk about. Okay, so keep those tweets coming in. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. We are back with plenty more after the break. Don't forget, you can also get yourself a copy of your People Daily. It is only 10 shillings, and what you need to do is dial the number *550 *4#. Get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the People Daily and Safaricom.